New York-style pizza. This iconic slice is famous for its large, wide, and thin crust that remains foldable yet structurally sound. Originating in New York City in the early 20th century, it evolved from traditional Neapolitan pizza to suit the fast-paced lifestyle of workers who needed a quick meal on the go. The dough is hand-tossed and typically baked in a high-heat deck oven, resulting in a crust that is crispy on the bottom but soft and pliable underneath the toppings. A classic New York slice features a light coating of seasoned tomato sauce and a heavy layer of low moisture shredded mozzarella cheese. Because of the sheer size of the pie, usually around 18 inches, locals fold the slice in half lengthwise to contain the hot oil and cheese while eating it walking down the street. It remains the baseline standard for what most Americans picture when they think of a traditional slice of pizza. Chicago deep dish pizza. This style turns the traditional concept of a flat pie into a thick, cake-like creation, baked in a deep, oiled round pan. Developed in Chicago during the 1940s, this variety features a high-edged crust made with a high amount of oil or butter, giving it a distinctively yellow color and a flaky, biscuit-like texture. Because the thick layer of ingredients requires a long baking time, the assembly order is completely inverted to prevent the cheese from burning. Slices of mozzarella are placed directly onto the dough, followed by various meat fillings like raw bulk Italian sausage, and the entire pie is then topped with a thick layer of crushed canned tomatoes. Eating a single slice requires a plate and a fork, making it more of a sit-down culinary event rather than a casual snack. Detroit-style pizza. This rectangular pie is immediately recognizable by its thick, airy crust and intensely crispy, caramelized, cheesy edges. The style was born in 1946 when a local tavern owner used blue steel utility trays from nearby automotive assembly plants to bake pizzas. The dough has a high hydration level, allowing it to rise into a soft, focaccia-like texture inside the deep metal pan. Instead of traditional mozzarella, Wisconsin brick cheese is spread all the way to the absolute edges of the pan, where it melts, drops down the sides, and fries against the hot steel during the baking process. Once the pizza is pulled from the oven, thick lanes of warm tomato sauce, often referred to as racing stripes, are ladled directly over the top of the cheese. New Haven-style pizza. Locally pronounced as all beets, this variation is characterized by its intensely charred, irregular crust and chewy texture. Emerging from the Italian immigrant community in Connecticut during the 1920s, these pies are traditionally baked in extremely hot coal-fired brick ovens. The intense heat cooks the pizza in just a few minutes, creating a signature blistered and blackened exterior that looks burnt to outsiders, but delivers a deep, smoky flavor. A standard order, known as a plain pie, consists only of dough, oregano, intense tomato sauce, and a sprinkle of Pecorino Romano cheese, while mozzarella is considered an extra topping. New Haven is also world famous for its white clam pie, a variation that completely omits the tomato sauce in favor of fresh chopped clams, olive oil, garlic, and oregano. St. Louis style pizza. This highly unique style is defined by its ultra-thin cracker-like crust that is made completely without yeast. Popularized in the Midwest during the middle of the 20th century, the dough remains flat and crispy during baking, providing a sturdy base for a heavy load of toppings. Instead of traditional Italian cheeses, this style relies entirely on Proval, a processed cheese blend combining cheddar, Swiss, and provolone that melts into a gooey, creamy texture. The sauce is distinctly sweet, heavily seasoned with oregano, and the entire rectangularly cut pizza is sliced into small squares rather than traditional wedges. This square-cutting method is locally referred to as the tavern cut or party cut, designed so that groups of people can easily share the pie while standing at a bar. California-style pizza. This variety prioritizes non-traditional, fresh gourmet toppings over a specific crust style, though it usually features a single-serving thin base. Rising to fame in the early 1980s through chefs in Berkeley and Los Angeles, it shifted the focus of American pizza away from heavy meats and cheeses towards seasonal, local ingredients. Common toppings include things like barbecued chicken, smoked salmon, goat cheese, peanut sauce, or fresh avocado added after the baking process. The crust is typically baked in a wood-fired oven to give it a light, artisanal quality that complements the unconventional flavor profiles. It helped spark a nationwide movement toward gourmet, casual dining, and fundamentally changed what ingredients people considered acceptable on top of a pizza. Trenton Tomato Pie. This New Jersey variation flips the standard assembly process by putting the cheese down first and finishing with the sauce on top. Originating in the early 1900s in the capital city of New Jersey, it features a thin, crispy crust that is robust enough to support a large amount of crushed tomatoes. The baker places a thin layer of mozzarella directly onto the rolled dough, adds various meats or vegetables, and then forcefully hand crushes plum tomatoes over the top right before it enters the oven. This creates a final product where the vibrant, acidic flavor of the seasoned tomatoes is the primary component you taste on the first bite. The visual result is a mosaic of red sauce patches broken up by small islands of melted cheese peeking through from underneath. Buffalo-style pizza. This Western New York creation sits comfortably in the middle ground between a thin New York slice and a thick Sicilian square. It is characterized by a noticeably thick, airy dough that possesses a sweet flavor profile and a remarkably light texture. The sauce is heavily applied and leans toward the sweeter side, while the cheese is allowed to brown deeply in the oven until it forms distinct grease pockets. A hallmark characteristic of this style is the use of cup and char pepperoni, which are thick-head slices that curl upward into small cups with crispy, blackened edges during the baking process. The resulting contrast between the sweet, spongy dough, the rich cheese, and the spicy, crunchy pepperoni cups creates a highly distinct regional favorite. Quad City-style pizza. Hailing from a cluster of 5 cities along the Mississippi River in Iowa and Illinois, this style features a dark, molten-fused crust with a spicy kick. The dough is prepared with a heavy hand of dark malt syrup, giving the crust a distinctly nutty flavor and a darker color than standard pizzas. The sauce is heavily seasoned with cayenne pepper and red pepper flakes, creating a slow, building heat that balances out the sweetness of the dough. Lean pork sauce, ground with heavy fennel, is spread in a continuous, solid layer across the pie, before a thick blanket of mozzarella covers everything. Once baked, the pizza is cut into long, thick strips using giant heavy-duty kitchen shears rather than a rolling wheel cutter. Old Forge-style pizza. Billed by its residents as the pizza capital of the world, this small Pennsylvania town created a style baked in rectangular metal pans and referred to in portions rather than slices. Developed as a quick, hearty snack for local coal miners in the 19th. The crust is light and crispy on the bottom, while remaining soft and chewy in the center. A unique blend of cheeses, often combining brick, American, and mozzarella, is used to create a distinctively creamy, almost sticky texture that does not separate when hot. The red sauce version is deeply savory and frequently features a hint of rosemary or diced onions cooked into the base. Customers order a whole tray rather than a whole pie, and individual rectangular pieces are always referred to as cuts. Greek-style pizza. This style is characterized by an oily, exceptionally crispy crust that is proofed and baked entirely inside a shallow, round metal pan. Popularized by Greek immigrants opening diners across New England in the 1960s and 70s. It relies heavily on olive oil to fry the bottom of the dough while it cooks. The crust ends up puffier than a New York slice, but remains far flatter than a Chicago deep dish, offering a distinct crunch with every bite. The tomato sauce is heavily spiced with oregano and is typically simmered for hours to create a deep, concentrated flavor profile. It is traditionally topped with a blend of mozzarella and white cheddar, which gives the cheese a sharper flavor and a greasier finish. Ohio Valley-style pizza. This unusual variation introduces a stark contrast in temperatures by adding cold toppings to a hot, pre-baked crust. Developing in Steubenville, Ohio during the mid-20th century. The process begins by baking a thick, square dough topped only with a simple tomato sauce. Once the hot crust is pulled from the oven, it is immediately smothered with cold, freshly shredded provolone cheese and uncooked pepperoni. The residual heat, radiating from the baked dough, gently melts the bottom layer of the cheese, while the top layer remains cool, structured, and distinct. This creates a completely different mouthfeel where the diner experiences hot, crunchy bread alongside cool, savory dairy in the exact same bite.